What's up, and welcome to Worldly Church Girl. I bet you're wondering where that name came from. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. I grew up like most of y'all, raised in a very strict church family. So with that being said, I decided that I was going to write a book about my journey, and I needed a title for my book. And the Lord gave me the title, Worldly Church Girl. Worldly Church Girl Live, just like Worldly Church Girl podcast, it's not preachy. It's not worldly. It's informative. It's fun. It's here to teach and it's here to reach. So sit back and relax and enjoy Worldly Church Girl Live. Hello and good evening and welcome to Worldly Church Girl Live. It's your girl, your host, Lillian Harshaw. I forgot to do the countdown, but I was running a couple seconds late, but that's okay. Most importantly, we made it and it is Friday, and praise God, it is Friday. I want to thank y'all for joining me, and I want to thank y'all for just once again just being a blessing onto just supporting this platform and being with me, not only just in this, just in life in general, whether it's with the show or just being a family and a friend. On today, I love that saying, on today, I have a beautiful lady inside and out. The cause that she is doing is truly God's work. What she's doing is it's one of those things where you take your trial and your testimony and you turn it into a mission. You turn it into your the path. And when you're in that trial at that moment, you don't necessarily see this as something that you need to do in life, but you never know what God has in store for you until you're in that moment. And that's just the way God works. You don't see it when you're in it, but you see it when you come out of it. And that's just how our God is. And I just thank God for this lady. And when I say she's beautiful inside and out, this lady is beautiful inside. So beautiful that the state of Indiana says she was beautiful. Do you hear me? I want to do a quick shout out to my guy, my boss, the man who actually got me on this platform, Mr. AJ from Awesome Guy Radio. And I also want to say a quick shout out to my sister, Miss Breezy, Miss Easy Breezy from Awesome Guy Radio. Thanks for joining. But to my guest, this lady, and she didn't even hesitate when I said, come on. And she got a crown, y'all. Usually with somebody with a crown, they'll be like, no, but this lady got a crown. So it gives me great honor to introduce to y'all. Look at this lady. Miss Tieree Reid. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I think my daughter wants to come and say hi too.
Oh, she can come in. We got a special guest. We got the princess. Hi.
Can you say hi?
Hi. You're not gonna say hi?
Wow.
Thank you.
She's just looking.
That's all right. She can look. Well, thank you so much for being on here. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing and everything that you're accomplishing in your life.
Thank you.
I cannot thank you enough. So I want to talk about how you were born in New Orleans. Now, how did you come from New Orleans to Naptown?
Well, actually, I went to undergrad in Minnesota, Morris, Minnesota, town of 5,000, from New Orleans. And then I just have been off. Most people think that I've been in the military, but I have not. But before I came to Indiana, I was living in Nebraska. And actually, no, before I came to Indiana, I was living someplace else. I got my master's degree from Indiana State University, left and went to Nebraska. And a friend called me up and said, hey, do you want to come back to Indiana? We have this charter school, and we were looking to increase the number of students, minority students, that are entering into college and graduating with a bachelor's degree. So I came here to do that work. Plus, this is the Bible Belt, and so I wanted to be in a larger city. Which
right. Can't do too much in a small town.
No.
Hi, Nelson. I understand that. So, but you have done so much in your lifetime. I mean, you were an educator, you're a counselor, you're a certified coach. I mean, you're a mommy, you're a wife. You serve currently on so many committees. I have paper to write them all down. And then I found out that you was a Zumba coach.
Yes, I teach Zumba.
I mean, my goodness. Okay, so what even got you started doing Zumba?
Well, I love the dance. I studied dance in undergrad, and so and I was one of the ones that was pushing to have it as a major. But so I'm saved, but I love to dance. And so that was part of it. And then I had gained weight after coming to Indiana, and I needed to do something to lose weight, and Zumba came about. And so I decided to become an instructor in order to hold myself accountable to weight loss. And so it was I could teach, get paid, and lose weight. So I maintained my weight. So that's how it came about.
Now look, don't even talk about dancing, because back in the day, I was in a dance group. Remember, dance groups was really big here in Indy. I was in a dance group. It was 3 guys and 2 girls. We could never think of a name for ourselves, which was really dumb. Yeah, you did. Me too.
She wants to be in a dance group too.
I know. And I mean, you couldn't tell me. And see, we wasn't like the cute girl dancers, if you will. We danced. So I know what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, I'm saved, but yeah, I love to dance. But so I feel you. Now, so you still do the instructor thing? You still an instructor now?
I have not been teaching classes for a while now. So I just do for myself. And just do for myself. But I used to ballroom dance as well. So when I started dance, lyrical dance, I used to dance.
Really? I always wanted to learn how to salsa. That just looks so sexy to me. I know saved folks over church folks, but I mean, if you want to keep your weight down, you got to stay mobile. So
yes, and you burn a lot of calories. A whole lot of calories.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to the gym and all that and being mobile, why not? And you taking aerobic classes is no different.
Nope, it's no different. Not at all.
No different whatsoever. Now, it seems like in your life, like your journey, led you through a lot of things.
Yes.
And it ended up leading you to this big journey as you're on right now.
Yes.
And it gave you the voice to where women didn't have a voice.
Yes. And
I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
And hi, Joy. How are you? That's your makeup artist.
That's right.
Girl, I'll be trolling. I have to when I have my guests on there.
Shout out to her. Not only did she do a great job with my makeup, I just have to say this really quick because she and I had fun. We talked and stuff, but what she didn't know was that this week I had poured out so much of myself doing service that I did not feel beautiful. Not because I thought I was ugly in appearance, but I was just so well spent. So when I sat in the chair, she has an awesome spirit. By the time we were done, I felt encouraged as an individual to run on and do more work. And
Amen.
So she didn't just do a good job with my makeup. She did a whole makeover on the inside as well. And she don't even know it.
Amen. Because I saw your post and I was like, next time I'm in Indy and I need to get me a headshot. I'm looking for you, Miss Joy. So you might as well be on alert. I'm looking for you because she did an awesome job. Beautiful job, and it was very natural.
Yes.
It didn't look real extra.
Yes.
It was beautiful work. And if she made you feel just as gorgeous on the outside and in the inside,
yes,
I'm down for that. I'm
yes,
absolutely down for that.
Yep.
Especially with the work you do. I mean, that's a weight.
Yes.
That is a weight, and I want to get into that. Because you're doing that work because you went through that.
Yes.
Can you share your testimony with everyone?
I can.
Okay.
When I'll start with the pageant just for a second.
Okay.
When I made the decision to become a part of the pageant, it was for my daughter because I wanted her to know that she can do anything, that she was worth it. And and so then with that, you don't have to, but often people choose a platform. And so I began to think about, what's my platform going to be? It's going to be education, diversity, and inclusion. And I believe the Lord said to me that it's going to be about this pregnancy infant loss because I was still dealing with some feelings at the time. So I said, I complied with God, but I had not necessarily said yes because I did not process in my head that I was going to be talking to people about my story because I could stay. You put me in the dark. Let there be light. So I could have stayed, surface.
This ring light is doing way too much for me.
You don't want me up. Okay. Anyways, I could have stayed on the surface, but I really hope to help. You're undressing me. Oh Lord. I would really want to help somebody. So here's my story. My first loss was before I was married. Was in the ectopic pregnancy, and I was a young lady in my 20s, and I had shared with my doctor that I could feel the baby, and so we go online, we go to Google, and I looked it up to see what those symptoms could be, and I said to her that I think the baby's in the wrong position. I think the baby's in my tubes. She checked my HCG levels to see if that could be the case, but she said no, everything was fine. So I went on about my business because the doctor said everything was fine. Right. Well, while I was home and my niece was visiting me, and she was a pre-teenager at the time. Well, actually, she was younger than that, probably like 9 or 10. I was sitting in this chair that I had purchased. I was feeling everything about being a mom. And I will back up and say this, that when I found out, obviously I was feeling shame. I wasn't receiving it at one point in time, but then I started embracing and bonding with the baby. Right. And so I went to the store, I saw this chair, I bought this chair, and I still have this chair to this day. I plan to do a trivia online with people, so I still have this chair. Oh, wow. And I sat in the chair and I was talking to the baby, and all of a sudden I was in a lot of pain. My tube had exploded. I hit the floor, hands on the ground, knees on the ground. It was the most excruciating pain I had ever experienced. And this is coming from a woman who this child was breached, and they did an external version where they turned the baby in my stomach around. That did not hurt as much as that explosion of my tubes. Well, when that happened, I had my niece call 911. The paramedics came. I told them that I had miscarried. They told me I had not. While I was in the back of the ambulance, they were, talking to each other, laughing and everything. And here I am about myself in pain. Yes. And so we get to the hospital, and they bring you into the emergency room, and I went into one of the emergency rooms, and the nurses came in. They did ran some tests. I remember them telling me that my potassium level was really, really low. And so I began to, I had an emergency bag, so I had like all my insurance and everything to give them my insurance, and they refused to take it. What? And then I sat there, which was, hours. So I called my doctor up, and I'll be very much more transparent with you. I called my doctor up, and I said that I am being discriminated against, and I'm going to die in here. And that they are not seeing me. And my doctor at the time was battling breast cancer, and she was home. So she called a specialist to come in to see about me. So, and also ordered for them to do an ultrasound. While I'm in the room getting the ultrasound, the technician, she looks she's talking to me, are you excited about being a mom and all this stuff? And I'm just looking like,
What are you talking about?
I know
Right.
I'm still being nice. And
Right.
and so she puts the monitor on me, and I can remember the cold look on her face when she noticed the amount of blood that had filled up my abdomen.
Jesus.
So immediately they rushed me into surgery, and I didn't remember anything else from that because I was sedated and they did the surgery. So now, mind you, I just shared with you that I had been there for a while before going into surgery. So the next morning I woke up, and this is supposed to be pretty much almost like an outpatient surgery.
Right.
And so I woke up the next morning, and then you're supposed to be able to get up and they do like a test walk around, and then they get ready to discharge you. The nurses were so rude. They were so rude to me. They acted as if I was lying to them about my inability to be able to walk, and that I was still in a lot of pain. And so the doctor, I didn't have the opportunity to meet him, so he decided to come by just to see me, just to introduce himself to me, right before I was being discharged to go home. And so and I say that because they were sending me home.
Basically, they was trying to just get rid of you.
Yes. And so when I shared with him what I shared with the nurses, he was like, well, that's, that shouldn't be. And so he had some tests ran. Well, I needed a blood transfusion. I was dying.
They were just going to send you home to die.
Yes. And my hemoglobin was extremely low. And I had to have, they did the blood transfusion in both arms. And I have very little veins. So it was not a good feeling at all. I don't know blood transfusion could ever be. And it's really, really cold. And so they sent the nun in to come and see me, to talk to me. But I was so traumatized for a lot of different reasons. One, having the loss, the baby, and then processing through my head that, it was my fault.
Right.
In addition to being discriminated against and being put in a position where you have to trust someone and rely on them to care for you, and instead, because of the color of your skin. Now, mind you, I have a master's degree. I was a department head over diversity, which was called multicultures and services. I was named transformative leader in top of the newspaper. All of these things going for myself.
None of that mattered.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. None of it doesn't matter how much education you have.
You had insurance and all that. None of that mattered.
No. And so so later from that, I eventually went to counseling, and the counselor told me I had post-traumatic stress disorder, which I did because of several triggers that I would experience. Even just recently, the doctor who had died from the COVID-19 here in Indianapolis, hearing her talk about sharing that, she knew what she needed and they didn't listen to her. That caused me to have a panic attack because I began to have a little bit of a flashback. So that's my background of my story. But all of a sudden in this year, I could see a little differently. I can hear the stories that have been told to me by other women. I've shared my story with them, but I can hear it a little differently. I can feel the residual impact of the amount of pain that you experience after you have bonded with a child that you have loved for a lifetime, but only receive a few weeks or 8 months or 9 months or even a year. And that child dies. And then the world tells you to get over it.
Right.
Or you're lucky.
Yeah. Move on.
And so it's just been hitting me differently in this last year. It's just really have been hitting me differently. And I just wanted to make sure nobody else suffers in silence, especially within our African American community, because there's so many layers of, we don't really talk to counselors, or pray away, or all those different things. And so I just really wanted to start this conversation, and do everything and anything that I can to make someone else's life better.
Wow. Hello, Courtney and Miss Caroline. Thanks for joining. Wow. I'm speechless. when that happened, did you ever go back to that hospital or talk to any of those physicians and nurses and after you got better? And
No, I did not, and that's because of the shame, because of how I became pregnant. Oh, I had a lawsuit. I could have been a millionaire. I had a serious lawsuit because the doctor came in the room and said to me, "You should have died."
So he knew that.
He knew that, but he operated it on me based on the intake information that he had. Remember, he was given privileges to operate in that hospital, and so. No, I never did. I never went back. Wow. And that is why a good portion of my focus is on healthcare providers, that they listen and that women advocate for themselves as well and listen to their patients, and that information is given to women when they become pregnant, not just after they've had a loss, but when they become pregnant, so they can know what to do and how to advocate on their behalf.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest misconception of when women go through this, when they lose their child?
I think first of all, let's just talk about conceiving. There's a whole misconception around conceiving, that it is a natural thing and everybody should be able to do it. And that is not the case. I'm 41 years old, and I had my baby at 40, successfully had a child at 40. And so that's not the case for everybody, that everybody can conceive. So that's the first thing. And then I think this other I don't know if it's necessarily just this idea that you can replace a child with another child. I think that's another misconception that that doesn't happen. Just like you don't necessarily, if you become widowed, you can marry again, but you still have certain feelings and emotions connected to that spouse that God gave you, if that makes sense. So I think that's one of the things. It's my fault. People think that it's their fault when 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage, and it's very normal to actually lose a child. And so I think that's the misconception that people have, is that it's their fault when it may not be that situation.
Yeah, the mainly the woman starts playing the blame game on herself. Yes. Yeah. Hello, Miss Amber. Thanks for joining. A lot of I'll probably say this for a little bit later. No, I'll share it now. A lot of people don't even know this about myself.
Okay.
I had a miscarriage at a very young age.
Wow.
And I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry 2 weekends in a row. And I remember I did that. I blamed myself for it. I completely was like, this is my fault. You know, I was like, God is punishing me for even getting pregnant to begin with. I even and I got really depressed. Like, I wouldn't come out of my room. I locked myself up in there. And I remember, I'm not gonna say this person's name because I don't want to call them out. They were on the, you need to be lucky. You can move on.
Yeah.
You got a life to live. Yep. And and I was like, how can I move on? This is all my fault. And so how do I know I eventually in time I did move on, but there's still a little piece of you that still kind of think, though, you still have the what if in your head. You still play that in your mind, the what ifs.
Yes.
So and I think within the Black community, and especially when you're growing up in church, you have the I'm not going to counseling because that's not, we don't go through counseling.
Yes.
We go to church, we pray about it and be done with it. And it's like, why can't you go to church? Yeah. I mean, why can't you go to counseling? And go counseling? And I mean, God gave these people that knowledge to help us, so why not? You know? So why do you think we do that? As a community?
It's my parents didn't go to counseling, so it wasn't role model for me that that's something that you do. I sought counseling because I actually worked in a counseling office in undergrad, and so it was normalized for me that was okay. You just go talk to somebody, but trust. Trust is one of the reasons why feeling weak, not wanting to be weak. You're told that you have to be strong all the time, and then if faith is included in that, it's like you are not leaning completely on God to be able to do this. So all of these thoughts that are in your mind, but that's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily, a counselor does not replace your faith or God, but it does, just like food gives you the ability to be able to calm down certain nerves within inside of you so that you can hear God a little bit clearer. Somebody said something in the comments. But there is a stigmatism around it, and then you don't see a lot of African American counselors. If you do, you may know them, and so then you don't want them to be in your business. And so then you have this perception of if there's not an African American counselor, I don't want to go through this whole thing of trying to explain my culture and all this other stuff to that person. But I would say that, if you have it within yourself to pray about a counselor, then, and God says it's okay, then go and do that. My counselors that I've had in the past, I still go to counseling every now and then. Sometimes I say that's a counseling moment.
Okay.
They're not white. And that's okay. And if you do find a counselor that doesn't fit your need, just move on to somebody else. Just move on to somebody else though. But yeah, there is a stigmatism within the African American community. And then access, that's a huge thing too. Access.
Yeah. I think the Black and brown community says if you go to counseling, then you're crazy.
Yeah, and that's not
basically
it.
I think that's the main thing. They say, "Oh, you see somebody? Oh, you must be crazy."
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm trying not to go crazy.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm saying counseling.
So this whole thing about mental health, because pregnancy and infant loss falls underneath this area of mental health, and in some way, shape, trials and tribulation. When we talk about trials, we talk about mental health. We talk about something that the warfare of the mind. We're talking about mental
spiritual
health.
warfare.
Spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have all access to all of the tools in that moment, it does help to have a professional to help you calm down those thoughts, cast down those thoughts. It does help somebody to help you to put that into perspective so that you can go to God and pray and talk to him in clarity. And so, it is necessary. It is needful. And it is not just for when you're in a hard place. When I was getting ready to get married, I sought a counselor because I was having some family issues and stuff like that. And I wanted to walk in that day whole-minded. And so that person helped me with that because I was so concerned about pleasing everybody, and I was given permission, if you will, not to please. So I mean, there are many reasons why counseling is a good thing. And
counseling is necessary.
Yes,
I feel like counseling is necessary. And they that most of the time, and I hate to say this, if you have a good pastor or a good leader, before they marry you, they should counsel you before you get married.
Yes.
Y'all need to sit down and have a little chit chat before y'all say I do.
Yeah.
Because you might find out you don't need to be in front of that altar to say I do. Yeah, and that might be maybe we shouldn't.
Yep. And it should be counseling. Counseling is different from you getting preached at, talked to. And told. It's totally, and I don't know if people understand what the difference is between teaching, preaching, and counseling. Because the counselor is a facilitator of your own thoughts. They hear you, and they help you to hear yourself. Come to a conclusion and a decision. That is what they do. They're not there to tell you what to do and how you ought to do it, unless if you are is a psychiatric situation, but
Yes.
but it is to help you have clarity on your own situation, for you to search yourself, and come out with those clues. I hear you saying such and such and such, you know. And
Yes.
so I think there's a misconception of what counselors do. They take a mirror, put it in front of you, and let you see yourself.
Basically. Because how many times have you been talking to a friend and
Yes.
giving them advice,
Yes.
and you'll be like, okay.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the advice you're actually giving to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you'd be like, well, dang. All right, Lord, I hear you.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They basically get paid to listen to you talk to you. Ain't that
Yes.
messed up? Ain't that
Yeah,
messed
it
up?
is. They get paid well. Lay on my couch. So what are you saying? They have 50,000
Yeah.
questions for you.
And all you're doing is answering your own self.
Yeah, because sometimes we can't hear ourselves. You know,
Mhm.
we can't, you know, we talk about not being able to hear God. Sometimes we can't even hear our own selves, and we live within our own bodies. And so somebody else becomes a sounding board for us so we can hear ourselves clearly.
And most of the time, you need to stop asking God the same question over and over again anyway, because it's like, I'm not answering you because I told you. You just don't want to hear me.
Yes. Slow down. Listen.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Tomfoolery. Top notch tomfoolery. So, what advice would you give someone who has lost a child and they're having a difficult time dealing with it?
Yep. So
What?
there is a website. It's called Amos Anchors, and they have all of the resources for Indiana on that site. But because I'm believing that this is a global show,
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
also the National Share Organization. They have resources for all over. I would encourage them to seek out that information. And you know what? And here's the thing that's so hard is that when you're in it, grieving, the last thing you want to do is search for something. And it's the whole idea when people say, let me know what you need me to do. Well, I don't want to think about that right now. You just do
Right.
for me. But that talk to your physician. Some hospitals do have support groups. The one thing that's great about being in a support group around other people who have had similar experiences, it makes it easier for you to talk about it. And even if you don't talk about it and all you want to do is cry, they don't look at you like you're crazy. They it's a little bit more comfortable for you to be able to grieve. And so my biggest advice, one, is don't turn against you and your spouse. Do not turn against each other and begin blaming each other and allowing the situation to tear you down. Shame, blame has no place in it. Even if you felt like you've done something wrong or whatever the case may be, the author and finisher of your faith is Jesus Christ. And so he can override anything that you do. So shame and guilt have no place inside of your heart at all. Grief does not have a timeline at all. It's not linear. It happens whenever, and it's very much so unpredictable. And so you should give yourself permission to grieve. And if it is getting to be so much that you cannot function in life, do see a doctor. Do see a counselor. Now, why am I saying see a doctor? Because it's got medication that can help you, and so there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Absolutely not.
Not at all. And sometimes being on the medication, it does numb you, and so you do need to feel at times what you're going through. Because here I am, more than a decade, and I'm still feeling, and I have my moments and stuff. And it's not so much that I am destroyed by my grief. I just remember. I still feel, you know what I mean? I still feel. And I said to someone else, I haven't gotten a place to celebrate your child.
Yeah.
Celebrate the life that you would have had. Celebrate the baby, because that takes you full circle to a place where you feel comfortable and confident to share or not share whenever you want to. So if you don't share with somebody, it's not because you're shameful. It's not because you don't know what to say, because you don't want to say it, because they don't deserve your story, or whatever the case may be. But do get the healing that you need. Absolutely. And lean on God and pray about it. But also Don't allow your faith to become a crutch to the point that you are not paying attention to yourself and you are dying on the inside.
Right.
Because grief, people respond to it differently. Some people shut down, close all up. Some people turn it into their purpose. Some people commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And so grief is serious.
Yes, it
And
is.
so,
Grief
yes,
turned into depression.
yes,
It's terrible.
yes, it
It's
is.
absolutely terrible. And I had to say it once again, our culture will always ignore it, push it to the side, and beat up each other when we
Yes.
see, and it's like, you depressed, you need to shake that off.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. And stop beating people up when they're dealing with that. It's serious.
It is. It really is serious. And just this week I had put it on that I was feeling beautiful. Just like I said, just this week,
Mm-hmm.
within myself, I was feeling my hormones. I was feeling all kind of stuff. Even when I was trying to pick out clothes, I was saying to myself, it's gonna be very difficult. Low self-esteem makes it difficult to pick out an outfit. This is me talking to myself. So you need to perk up, because you might find a cute little thing and you thinking it's not, because you feeling some way about yourself. This is me talking to myself. So these things are with us,
Yeah.
even if tragedy hasn't hit. We are human beings. We feel things. We go through life. We don't sometimes know how much in this environment on social media that impacts us, that dwells within our spirit, that we need to get out. And so this is huge. It's big.
Yeah. And you know what? I thank God we didn't have social media when we was growing up,
Yes.
because my self-esteem was already in the gutter when I was younger. Girl, if we had social media back then,
Yes.
it
Yes.
would have been horrible.
It would have been something else.
I
Yes.
would have I would have been a hermit crab. I would have stayed in the house. Ain't no way.
Yep.
Ain't no way. Um Now, what is something that people should not do, that they have a bad habit of doing or saying to a person that they find out that they have had a loss?
Yes. So we talked about one of them. Get over it.
Yeah.
Do not say that to someone. We know that God has a purpose and a plan for our lives, but in that moment, sometimes people don't want to hear that is all in His plan. It depends on where they are in their faith walk. Telling someone that, honestly, even if a lot of times people don't know, especially if it's an early term miscarriage, they may not even know that the person had a miscarriage. So there are some things that we're conditioned to say to people: when are you going to have children? Well, you don't know. I've been trying to conceive for years.
Right.
Or maybe I don't want to have children. So making the assumption already, putting that on me, that's something, in society we could change in our vocabulary. But if they are grieving, help them. Cook for them, do something for them. Do not put another task on the person by asking them, what do you need for me to do? Well, I don't know what I need. The person is lost. They have no clue. So help them out. I just not saying anything at all, or dwelling on it. Let the person take cues from that person on where they want you to lead, or if they want to talk about it, if they don't want to talk about it, if they want to cry, if they want advice, if they don't want advice. Sometimes people want to talk and they don't want advice from you. They just want to be heard. And so that there would be something I would say for a person that's trying to support someone. Learn about the situation, about infant loss, the various different stages that individuals may go through. Learn more about SIDS, learn more about stillbirth. That will help you out as well. If the person is shutting down and they are becoming very angry, it'll help you to be able to assist that person through that process and what that is. So I would say that the best thing you can do is get some education.
Yeah, because there's so many different variations of infant loss.
Yes.
Because like in my situation, I think I was around 3 months pregnant before they realized that my baby, it was a miscarriage, because they kept saying, oh, well, they heard the baby's heartbeat like the first month, and then the second month they didn't hear it. And they was like, oh, maybe the baby just moved and we just don't, can't find it, but it'll pop back up. Wow. Okay, so they're thinking it up, we're back again, and they were third month. Well, let's wait a little while.
Wow.
Maybe we'll wait a couple weeks, and then maybe we'll do an ultrasound and see what's going on.
No. All of that, no. And that's
so I was just devastated.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and my mother went with me, and I'm just standing in the elevator against the wall, dumbfounded. After I got the results, and they were like, she didn't know what, she didn't know what to say. She just kind of just held my hand, and I kind of pulled away because I was just dumbfounded. And the only thing they said, well, one or two things that happen: either you'll pass it, or we'll have to do a D&C. Let's wait another couple of weeks. And I'm like, so I gotta wait. Okay. And they said, well, if in a couple of weeks, if you don't pass, give us a call and we'll schedule a D&C.
Yes.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So a couple of weeks passed, nothing happened. So I had to schedule D&C. I was just in a loss. So I'm like, so you mean to tell me for 2 months I've been carrying, and I was just done.
Yes.
Just done. And I was just, and because when I first found out, I was shocked, but then you get excited after a while. And but it was horrible, absolutely horrible.
Absolutely. And all of that, what you're sharing, the need to advocate, the need for a second opinion from someone else, the idea of someone telling you that you will pass it, it's a baby, and being sent home in pain to go through that's difficult. That's very difficult, and that's why I do feel that this needs to be a normal conversation. So that, because at that moment, you're not thinking about, let me get on a nationalshare.org website and let me call somebody, talk to someone else let me talk to a stranger that's been through this while I'm going through. You're not thinking about that at all. And therefore, I highly encourage, I know churches can't do everything. And sometimes churches do try to do everything. But resources, having access to resources to direct people to someplace else, that would be very helpful. If churches had access to enough of resources. But I am so sorry for your own experience that you went through, because that's traumatic.
I was a young girl, not my teen years, but young, but like I was young. I was, but it just didn't make any sense. And like you said, it just, and listening to your story, and it probably because I was a black girl, they didn't care about me, and just send her home, and I probably could have gotten an infection and everything else because I had a fetus in my body. Just I don't even want to go there, but anyway, but
it is rough though, and the shameful part about it is that African American women do experience things at a higher rate than our peer. However, as I hear the story, no matter the ethnicity, or even in the United States, bedside manners tend to be problematic, and so a lot of women talk about just cold feeling from healthcare providers that they get. And so that's why we have so many small nonprofit organizations, because somebody's taking their pain and turning it into purpose. And they're thinking they're doing it without knowing that there's other organizations that are out there. But I do appreciate you sharing though. That's huge.
No, and I not told anybody this.
Wow.
Yeah. My husband knows.
Yes.
But because he needed to know. Yes. but yeah. So yeah. Hello world.
Here I am. Man. So I hope more people will talk. that they will share, that your listeners, if you have listeners that are out there that have experienced pregnancy and infant loss, if you know someone that has experienced it, because I did a panel discussion last month and someone has said to me, now I understand this person much better. And hearing all these other people's stories and what they went through, now I understand why this person wants so much control, and so these experiences, they affect your identity as a woman, even as a man, men who experience the loss as well. And so it can adjust who you are as a person. So it is definitely important that you seek support from individuals.
Yeah, so that's why when I saw your story, that's why I was like, yeah, I gotta have you on the show. And you was like, what? And I was like, yeah.
I appreciate it. I wish I was there when you first started, in the very beginning. And I love what you are doing.
Thank
very
you.
Much so. So I'm a fan.
Thank you. God bless you. Oh, I love the baby. And that's your rainbow baby.
That's my rainbow baby. Yep.
Aww.
Yep.
Where does that term come from? Do you know?
I do. You know what? I should know, but I do not remember in my mind right now off the top of what rainbow. Rainbows is new beginnings, and so
and it's God's promise.
It's God's promise. Yep. Yeah. And so I'm glad for the terminology. So I am. So yeah. So that's my rainbow baby, and she makes sure that I know it.
Girl, because you tickled me when she said, she looking at you with that crown on, like, who you think you is in this house?
What is going on with you?
The queen in this house.
You didn't have this on before.
Now, speaking of that crown, what is going on with you on June 5th?
Yes. So the Mrs. Indiana America pageant will be in South Bend, Indiana on June 5th. And that is when I will be competing for that title. The person who wins, and I believe the runner-up as well, has the opportunity to go to Mrs. America and compete in the Mrs. America pageant.
You already for you.
Yes. And closer to that time, there will be an opportunity for people to vote for their favorite. They call it something different. It's like the fan favorite. And so I will share that information with you when that voting opens so that people can vote for me if they wish to.
Please, because I'm going to push for it.
Thank you.
I want my girl to win.
Absolutely. I do want to put a plug in. I have an event coming up on February 20th at 11 a.m. It's called Real Stories, Black Women and Infant Loss. There'll be some women who will be telling their stories, and we'll just be talking candidly about some of the things that they went through. One is a family member that I asked to be a part of, my sister, my former sister-in-law, if you will, asked to be a part of the panel, and her story is tremendous. And what's just so crazy is that I was present during her situation, and of course, we had a relationship. I felt for her, but today, being a little bit more aware, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You really don't know, and until you have been through it. Is I wish this upon nobody, but she has had multiple loss, 5, and as well as a son her rainbow baby later on as a teenager passed away as well. So she's experienced a tremendous amount of grief, and I want people to hear her story, hear how she has been through all of that and still standing.
Wow. Remind me of that too.
Yes, I will.
My goodness, tag me on that so I can share it. My God.
Yes.
Bless her heart.
Yes, absolutely.
You never know people's you never know what you've been through until you heard what somebody else has been through.
Absolutely.
Then you have to reflect and be like, well, you know what, Lord, if they can stand, then surely I can be able to stand.
Yes.
My God, bless her heart. Yeah, make sure you tag me on that.
I will. I definitely will.
Now, how can people reach out and contact you? I know I threw it up there, but is there other ways some people can contact you?
Yeah, just Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Mrs. Central Indiana 2021. I'm on LinkedIn. I just got a Twitter account. I had no social media before this pandemic, but you
Really?
can reach. Yes.
How did you manage that?
I believe that my life should be separate. My family should be over here. My friends should be over there. And on social media, everybody gets to be together, and so it's a challenge for me. Very much so. So every day, every day I encourage myself to stay active, engaged, and to grow as a person. But those are ways that you can stay in touch with me. I am always doing something. We have a run walk coming up in March to raise awareness as well as raising funds. My goal is to raise 2,500 by June 1st for pregnancy infant loss. And that is a very, very small goal. A portion of it is going to go to getting resources printed so they can be in hospitals and in offices to increase that awareness level. And then there will also be funds going to a foundation that helps families who need to bury their child. It costs $1,000 to bury an infant. And I remind you, you didn't get to put insurance on this child. You still have to pay for labor and delivery. There may not be a casket the size for your child, so you have to have a casket custom made. And so there's just so many things that's with that. But on average, they're spending $1,000 to help families. And I think last year they helped 30 families. So that's just one organization. So this whole issue is huge. And Indiana has historically been ranked pretty high for infant mortality. So please do help. Yes. Yes.
My God. That's sad.
It is very much so sad. It really is.
Wow. That's just awful. Okay, lady. Well, I have one last question for you.
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Now, on my podcast, I always ask people this one particular question as their last question, but it's a more of a listening question, if you will. So this question is more of a visual question since this is live.
Okay.
So here's your question. If you could have anyone play you in a movie, who would it be and why?
Oh, if I have anyone play me in the movie, and who would it be and why? You know what? Honestly, the first person that came to my mind was my sister.
Really? We don't know your sister now, so
It's my sister Breesher Smith in Louisiana. I would have her. I thank God for our relationship has been blooming in this pandemic. But my sister and I have a closeted her spirit. She's real loud. And I think she is the most beautifulest person that I have ever met and laid eyes on. She is extreme. She says I'm the smart one, but I grew up wanting to be like her. We've done different things with our lives, but she's been that role model for me. So I would have my sister play me to see her be me. I can be snooty sometimes, so not like in a bad way, but button up person. To see my sister button up, that would be so much fun.
That is so funny. Okay, well, tell your sister get ready. So as long as you don't do no terrible Lifetime version of you.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Baby. No. Sometimes Lifetime can be okay, but sometimes Lifetime just be like, why did y'all even bother to make a movie?
Yes. It's Lifetime can be depressing. Just put it out there. It can be. It used to be my network, but it can be depressing. So
yeah.
We don't need that.
Absolutely. Well, I cannot thank you enough for everything that you're doing, because you are truly doing God's work. And I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
You're gonna win this. If you don't win, I'm gonna say I ain't gonna storm the Capitol building or nothing, but but I'm gonna like, this was rigged. But I really thank you for doing this. And where'd Princess go? Where'd she go?
She's looking for something to get into. Say hi. Can you say hi?
Hi.
He being shy.
She found something to do. Now she quiet.
Oh, she said
Oh,
hi.
hi. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will see you. Well, see you again soon because you'll be on the podcast.
Yes, next week.
Yes.
Next week.
I heard of my. Thank you. I'll talk to you then.
Okay, talk to you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Tieree, for being on the show. And thanks for your testimony. Thanks for all the work that you do. And shout out to Paul Lester for visiting. I saw your comment. Thanks for coming. Thanks to my girl Courtney for coming. I saw you jumped in. Thanks to all of you that came and visited the show. Again, and thanks for all your guys' support and for just everything. You guys are thebomb.com. And please like, share, follow, comment, Worldly Church Girl. And also don't forget the podcast. It is every Monday. There's a new episode that comes on there. And it's on any of your favorite podcast stations. It's always a live show that comes on. As far as the live show, we're going to be on, I am always going to be on Awesome Guy Radio. I'm also on Facebook. I'm going to be on Twitch now. I joined the Twitch show. So YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. So as always, thanks for joining your one and only Worldly Church Girl. Oh, I saw my girl. Hey, Whitney. Did you get your blanket back? That's all I want to know. Did you get your blanket back? Then I'm going to get off the air. Tell me if you got your blanket back. Let me know so I can go. Yes? No? All right, y'all. Thanks for joining your one and only Worldly Church Girl.